Hello Scrollgers, welcome to this edition of Scrollscast. My name is Smogan. We have an Energy versus Decay matchup here. We have Dilerien with a what looks to be a late game energy deck versus BarlesCharkley, who A, I love his name, and B, is running a Decay build, one of my favorite decks, so I'm very excited to see Barles play. Let's see, Dilerien goes ahead and pitches his opening hand, has a 2-drop into a third turn structure, so this is a pretty strong hand, and even has a 4 into a 5, a nice curve. He pitches his 5 but goes up to 1 resource. BarlesCharkley has Searing Shackles in hand, so he's at least somewhat prepared to face structures. Pitches a 6 resource Witch Doctor off the start. And now we're going to see the Hired Smuggler come down. The Sudden Eruption is sacrificed, since that's more of a late game card, and Hired Smuggler comes down in the middle. Perfect opening for any energy deck anymore. Basically every deck wants to play Hired Smuggler. She is just so strong. BarlesCharkley has a 2-drop, and then he could play Languid next turn if he chooses. He could play Languid this turn, and then that would free him up to play Blightbearer next turn, so that's an option as well. But he definitely wants to get a Languid onto this Hired Smuggler as soon as possible. He likes to do it now rather than waiting, so that he can play the Blightbearer next turn in all likelihood. Dilerien goes up to 3 resources, and we see the first of the Automaton Forges come down. I can't say Automata very well, or Automata, so I say Automaton, and you guys are just going to have to be okay with that. Ilmire Tribesman in hand. Infectious Blight, not very good against this deck. Brain Life's okay, and here comes the Blightbearer. So he was able to get that out instead of the Tribesman due to languiding last turn. Machine Divinator, Proximity Charge, and the Forge in hand. Will we see the second Forge come down? We see that the Divinator was sacrificed, and the second Forge is indeed played. Hired Smuggler moves into defensive position, standing in the way as best she can. Turn 4 for BarlesCharkley. Let's see here. What Decay wants to do against this structure deck is, of course, to just deal enough idle damage in the early to mid game to make it so that they can finish the game eventually with things like Searing Shackles and Loyal Darklings and Necrogeddon Watcher plays. If you let the structure deck build up too long, then the structure deck is just going to wall up on 3 or 4 lanes, and you just can't break through as Decay. You just can't make it through all of that beef. It just can't really be done. So the next probably 8 or so rounds are going to be really critical for BarlesCharkley. If we see that these idols are still really high on health by round 12 or 13, then the game is going to be basically over. It's going to be extremely difficult at that point for Barles to come back. So note that he is making that decision to, instead of just throwing his units at these walls, and of course you don't want to just lose things to 1 proximity charge, he's getting in there to deal some idle damage as quickly as possible. He's also spacing his units wisely. You need to do that against these energy decks because they have things like, well, Thunder Surge, speak of the devil, comes right off the top. Even if it's not going to get multiple kill shots, letting all of your high health units get Thunder Surged opens them up to A, the next Thunder Surge, and B, all of this other removal, the Charge Coil, the Sudden Eruption, things like that. So what is Barles going to do? Goes ahead and languids to draw another scroll. Needs more units. He's got a lot of removal in hand, but that removal is just not useful right now. Dilerien with his energy deck has already played something defensive on 4 out of the 5 lanes, so Barles needs to get in there as quickly as possible with some units and just doesn't have them right now. He goes up to 5 resources, so next turn he can at least play the Witch Doctor out. He saves his Brain Lice. I would be tempted to go ahead and play it on that last turn, even though both of these units are basically useless, just so you can draw that scroll, because the Brain Lice isn't going to be particularly effective at any point. So this turn, with what I see on board, I'm predicting Charge Coil to come down and then maybe ticking down one of the Forges to get closer to dropping a Gun Automaton. Interesting moves away from the Searing Shackles. Maybe he's daring Barles to kill it because he doesn't want to lose this idol to it long term, 8 rounds from now. And then the Charge Coil does come down. So Charge Coil does a lot of work against Decay. Decay has a really hard time with structures in general, and just like, how the heck is Barles going to get through a Charge, and then a Forge, and then a Charge Coil? It just really can't be done with it efficiently, at least. He could bash into it for days, but then at that point Dilerien would just stack up everywhere else. So Ripper is gotten rid of, and here comes the Witch Doctor. His units are bunched up right now, but they have high enough health that it's not too painful if he gets Thunder Surged, but I guess Dilerien did go ahead and sacrifice that Thunder Surge, but then he pulls another one, though Violent Dispersal right now on the Witch Doctor is probably a better play at this point. I wouldn't mind seeing a Thunder Surge. It's not too bad. You just might get more value off of it next turn. But he goes ahead and does it. Charge Coil is going to hit something down as well. So one of these units is going to be really, really weak. More gun autos being spawned. Witch Doctor, the perfect one to hit, goes down to 2 health. And here's a Watcher, so that'll be nice. Just more poison-based removal. That's not what Barles needs right now. Keeps his Infectious Blight, pulls a Loyal Darkling at least, but he just needs things like Life Stealer or more Blight Bearers, Rot Eaters, or just anything that can survive a round against Dilerien and then actually deal some damage is what is needed right now. This Witch Doctor is set to just die to this Gun Automaton. He doesn't move to defend it at all. Useless Contraption, Dispersal, Burn in hand. Gun Auto does go ahead and move to take out the Witch Doctor, so no removal need be spent. Violent Dispersal spent on the Watcher, so a good resource trade for BarlesCharkley there. But Energy decks are afraid of all of that non-combat damage, taking out the Watcher so that he can stall the game as long as possible. Bloodline Taint for Barles, that can be helpful against this build. I'm not impressed by Infectious Blight. It doesn't really do all that much in this situation, though I guess if he plays it on this gun auto, it will kill it with the other Blight and then start spreading pretty well. So he could go Blight into Loyal Darkling, instead goes ahead and plays out a Rot Eater, and then probably a Loyal Darkling in front of it. Loyal Darklings are absolutely key. They're guaranteed 2 idle damage, and for 2 resources, that's a better investment than most anything else. Burn, the perfect answer to the Rot Eater, though. Machinated Mindset, not useful, but Clock Library certainly is, and it's going to come down and tick away to a tremendous card advantage. +2 card advantage on these Clock Libraries if they survive long enough. What's the Charge Coil going to hit? It takes out, well, the Gun Automaton alone takes out the Cursemonger, and then the Charge Coil hits the Tribesman perfectly in back. So note that it's already round 10, and Barles has not, he's done some idle damage. The Searing Shackle's done its job. It's doing a very nice job taking this idol down. He's done 5 to this idol, but he needs to get a 3rd idol lower. He's got the Loyal Darklings, which are going to be very helpful. He definitely doesn't want to sacrifice them if at all possible. Goes ahead and plays 1 out. Will he play the 2nd one, or the 3rd one out as well? Does so, stacked on the middle, so this middle idol is doomed to die at this point. And if Dilerien doesn't Violent Dispersal his own Forge, then this idol's doomed as well, and that just leaves 1 more idol for BarlesCharkley to take out. Solemn Giant is in hand for Dilerien. That is, of course, the finisher for this deck. The key is for these Gun Automatons to deal 2 damage to enough idols that the Solemn Giants can haste in and finish them off 1 by 1. Moves his Smuggler in to defend the idol rather than the Clock Library, and goes ahead and lays out the Solemn Giant. Doesn't take it down yet. He can do that next turn. Plays out the Ether Pump. Charge Coil hits one of the Darklings. Not super relevant. Harvester is in hand for Barles. A 2nd Harvester is in hand for Barles. So we could see both Harvesters come down, and then with plans to let these Darklings die. I'd like to see him space out his units better, though. He also needs to think this Giant's going to attack next turn if Dilerien chooses, so he needs to get something in front of one of these Harvesters, or it's just going to go to waste. He could, yeah, he moves the Darkling down, so that's no longer guarantees this idol to die, but does still put him in a position to deal tremendous idle damage, and it's going to take probably a deck cycle to win this game at this point anyway. Note that it is round 12, the round that I predicted he needed more idle damage. He's done 12 idle damage. That's something. It's not enough, but it's something. Infectious Blight has jumped to the Solemn Giant. Hellspitter Mortar comes down. At this point, there's no way Barles can bash through unless he gets a massive double Harvester Relentless damage. Then he could maybe get through 1 lane and take out some structures. Divinator comes down to make that even more difficult. Forgets to tick down his Giant. He had 2 resources left over. He could have done so. Another Searing Shackles for Barles, though. That provides an option. Where is he going to play it? He plays it on the Hellspitter Mortar, the highest health structure that Dilerien has. He also has a Reaping Mask. That has Unstable as well, so that's nice against Dilerien's deck. And if things work out perfectly, if he can get the Reaping Mask played on a 0 countdown Harvester, that could be big. That could be really, really big. What is he going to do with these Darklings? He probably wants to move them out of the middle row at this point because he's counting on that Searing Shackles to do that 5 damage to take out that idol. I would try to go ahead and stack them like he does. Oh, he sacrifices 1 now so that he can move the other Darkling into position. I don't know that I would sacrifice them quite yet. They do take down the Harvesters, but I would rather sacrifice on command later and get that idle or the damage against the Solemn Giants, the combat damage. Machine Chant, Sudden Eruption. So Machine Chant can easily take out one of the Harvesters. Note that the Ether Pump is on 0 countdown, so that's going to deal 1 damage to everything, and that makes the Sudden Eruption a really strong play. He can wipe. Can he wipe the board? I think he can kill everything but this Cursemonger, just with what we see here. He just needs to move his gun auto down to put this Harvester on 1 health. I guess that doesn't take out this Harvester, does it? I was thinking the Sudden Eruption would do a little more than that. I miscounted. I guess we have Charge Coil ticking as well. Depending on where that hits, that could be really big, because these Harvesters are ready to go. Where's the Charge Coil going to hit? Will it hit this bottom Harvester? No, it hits the top Ilmire Tribesman. So we have seen some serious idle damage now. Barles has a spitting chance. Oh, did he choose not to go up to 7 resources to play the Reaping Mask? That would have been the nice opportunity to play it. Maybe he wants to keep that Infectious Blight. No, that would have been up to 11, which would have done 2, 5, 9. Oh, that might have been a huge play. Searing Shackles on the top. We see the Harvester come in and nearly wipe. It would have done 2 damage to this idol and had Unstable 3. That was the time to shine for that scroll. The Reaping Mask chose not to play it. Maybe he couldn't and I wasn't counting right, but I think that was the play. Lots of removal in hand, more structures, more Solemn Giants for Dilerien. He sees that he needs to end this game quickly with all of these Searing Shackles ticking down. Maybe he Machine Chants his own Automaton Forge. 1, 2, 3, 4. He can definitely do so, and that would prevent this idol from dying and prevent him from dying to Loyal Darklings until at least 15 more scrolls are drawn, because Barles needs to see his deck cycle before he gets those opportunities. Instead, goes ahead and Machine Chants his other Searing Shackled structure to save the middle idol. And then Burn comes down to take out, I think it was the Cursemonger. I wasn't watching though. Harvester still alive. Down to 1 health. First idol drops to that Searing Shackle. Necrogeddon for Barles. He pitches it though. Staying on 6 resources for now. We could see Cursemonger come down to defend the Harvester, though it's damned to die to this Ether Pump at this point anyway. Violent Dispersal. We could see that used on his own stuff again. Currently, these 2 idols are safe for a while. He could kill his own Forge. I don't know if he needs to do that yet. Maybe he just plays Solemn Giant out and takes out an idol and starts putting the pedal to the metal and trying to end the game. He doesn't want to stall for too much longer. We've seen all 3 Loyal Darklings. We've seen all 3 Searing Shackles. We've seen 1 Reaping Mask, but his opponent doesn't know about that yet. Wonder what other direct idol damage that BarlesCharkley has to get through this amazing frontline defense that Dilerien has set up. The Giant did come down, and it's going to haste in. Costs 10 energy to do that, to take out the 2nd row idol. And he can move down and take out this idol next turn relatively easily. Just a Cursemonger for Barles. Reaping Mask in hand as well. Goes ahead and goes up to 7. Is he going to... No, he Damning Curses. Takes out the Solemn Giant, and then Soul Steal on the Machine Divinator. So he has a Mire Shambler. It's not set to instantly die unless Charge Coil hits it, but will be dead pretty darn soon. It's just extremely unlikely it'll deal any combat damage. Proximity Charge, just tons of structures and removal. No finishers in hand for Dilerien right now. I wonder if he has 3 Solemn Giants in deck or just the 2. A lot of these builds run only 2 because you don't want them until the late game. But now that he's lost 2 Giants, it would really be unfortunate if he has to wait for a deck cycle, because what he wants to do is end the game before the deck cycle for BarlesCharkley hits, because that's when all that direct idol damage comes back. Wiped board for Barles again, based on the gun and the Charge Coil. A little bit of damage, or actually that was a Languided gun auto, so it didn't deal any damage. Soul Steal pitched. Hey, here's a Life Stealer. I was wondering if that was in his deck. It's a nice scroll against Machine Energy because it just has 5 health. It's tough to kill. Plays it in the front. It doesn't have as much movement ability there. I'd rather see him play it in the middle. There's no downside to playing there in this situation. More structures. Ironclad Reaver is a half-decent finisher. It does 2 damage per turn unassisted, so that's decent. Not going to end the game fast enough on its own, though. But look at all these gun autos. Dilerien needs to keep in mind he only has 1 board spot left. If he does have a 3rd giant, he's going to want to save that spot for it so he doesn't have to invest scrolls to kill his own units just to play out his finisher. Unimpressive Necrogeddon right now. Reaping Mask, though, played on the Lifestealer, so it does go up to 7/7. And if it dies, this idol will go down to 1 health at tremendous risk for death to Loyal Darklings or Searing Shackles later in the game. Down to 5 scrolls in deck, so he's going to be sacrificing for 2 cards every turn if he's wise to get to the direct damage I've been talking about. Machine Chant on his own forge, that was because, of course, of the Searing Shackles on it, keeps this idol on high health and also frees up board spaces, which is important at this point, so that his Reaver has a little bit more mobility, and so that if he does get another giant, he can play it out more easily. Ether Pumps are doing good work into round 18. Just a race to see who can finish the game first. The Lifestealer is going to get an attack off. He'll be able to take out one of these structures. He'll probably, what I would do is choose to take out the Ether Pump instead of the Forge at this point. The Forge is just pumping out more little things, and there's so many little things on the board. What's one more? We got some units. I want to see him sacrifice for scrolls. He pitches, and we see Lifestealer, Witch Doctor. That's why you sacrifice first. Maybe he would have rather played the Witch Doctor or the Lifestealer instead of the combination of Harvester and Blightbearer. Lifestealer up to 8 health after killing a unit, fully healed up to 8 with the Reaping Mask. A couple of sparks, lots of removal. We could just see a Violent Dispersal played on this Lifestealer. It would take it out, drop this idol to 1 health. Unstable, pretty relevant. Spark. Are we going to see another Spark? We do. Poisons his own gun auto, but he doesn't care about those units at this point. Just about ending the game. 6 idol damage being dealt to this middle idol at this point. He could Machinated Mindset to get it up to 7. I don't know that that's worth it, though. I don't think he has anything that deals 1 idol damage in his deck. Let's see. Does he want to play out any of these things? Maybe just play some more removal and take out the Harvester while you have the opportunity. Machine Chant would take it out nicely and continue to build up resources. But no, decides just to save everything in hand. Not concerned about the Harvester at this point. Look at these idols. They are being laid to waste. Pitches for scrolls. We get the deck cycle. So everything is officially in deck again. At any point, BarlesCharkley could top deck the scrolls he needs to finish the game. There are 6 scrolls he's looking for. I think he only had the 1 Reaping Mask. I didn't see any more. The Lifestealer is still alive. Somehow survived a few rounds with that Reaping Mask on it. 4 damage from the gun autos available. Dilerien has cycled through his deck as well, so he's looking for those giants, while his opponent is looking for direct idol damage. Who's going to find it first? 2 Divinators, not great right now. I don't know if he can afford filling the board quite that much. The countdown on his structures isn't super relevant right now. I just want to see some removal being played. Machine Chant, so that'll get some idol damage dealt. Does he have no Spark or anything? We do see 1 Divinator come down. We'll see if he wants to fill up his board or not. No, he decides not to. There's that unstable damage. And the Husk spawns for the because of the Witch Doctor, so I would have rather seen Dilerien position his units than kill the Witch Doctor and finish off this final idol rather than taking out the Lifestealer and the spawned Husk. More poison-based removal for Barles. More poison-based removal. He has 4 poison cards in hand. At least the Blightbearers are somewhat difficult to remove, and they make your opponent pay for removing them. Drops 1. He'll drop an Infectious Blight, so that takes out the gun auto, which is relevant, I suppose. So currently he's set to lose his Witch Doctor. Seems to be okay with that, just tanking for the 2 health idol. Dilerien going to sacrifice for scrolls. Still no giant. Still no giant. He is absolutely racing right now. Terrified that his opponent's going to draw the win. Needs to also keep in mind that he needs to play around Necrogeddon. he needs to carefully make sure there are 3 units stacked on at least this row right here so that his opponent can't get a 3-unit Necrogeddon to take out an idol. Of course, just structures and removal in hand. He does have the machinated mindset, so he can trample, or he can relentless over the Witch Doctor and get an idol damage in. He does so. So that'll deal 1 damage to this back idol and grant his Ironclad immunity to damage. Oh, Thunder Surge. Actually, that was a clever play because that'll take out both of these units and take out this idol. I didn't see that. Well done by Dilerien. Certainly doesn't end the game now, but BarlesCharkley down to 1 idol. 1 idol left to kill. And oh, I forgot about the Husk spawn, so that'll keep it on 4 health rather than 2 health. Infectious Blight, more poison. It's going to sacrifice. Just needs to draw that direct damage. Is he going to hit it? No, still doesn't have it. Just digging for it. Just needs to stack stuff. Maybe Rot Eater Blightbearer, because, I mean, that's a lot of damage coming in. This idol up here is at risk as well. Basically, there's no way that Dilerien can... Well, I guess if he plays a couple of things on both rows, he can survive his opponent drawing a Giant. He'd need to play something up here, though, because Giant is automatically lethal to the 8 health idol. And that's where the Rot Eater goes, defending against that Giant as best he can. Burn in hand, so he can take out anything he wants, really. He has 7 scrolls in hand, so I think he can still sacrifice. Ironclad Reaver, at least that's some more damage per turn. But no Giant. No Giant left yet. Both players just digging for their finisher. What's his play here? He can maybe burn the Rot Eater and then get some more idle damage ticking down. He could position the units to take out the Blightbearer and let his guys get poisoned. Maybe he burns his own unit. I can't remember what unit that was. Maybe it was the Languided Gun Auto, maybe. I didn't quite see. I wasn't expecting him to burn that unit. Probably just wanting the board space and letting him move his units and get them cleared off. Forge is going to spawn again. We'll see if he wants that to spawn or if he moves his Divinator. Or no, he positions his new Ironclad Reaver to prevent that Gun Auto from spawning. So the Blightbearer is taken out. A bunch of stuff is poisoned. The Ether Charge Coil does take that Rot Eater out as well. Another Necrogeddon. He sacrifices it. I'd hold on to it. I don't know if these poison things are doing anything, but finally we see 1 Darkling. So that's gonna get things closer. Still definitely racing to finish off his opponent. He's already gone through 11 scrolls. I think he was at 40 when his deck cycled. Maybe it was at 39. Witch Doctor Ripper's not a bad play. He goes ahead and lays out the Darkling now, tipping his hand a bit, but that's okay. Maybe he wants that countdown to go down. Really can't hurt just to have the Darkling out. Ripper played. We need to see something up top as well, because he just loses if he doesn't, if his opponent draws a Giant. So we need to see maybe Soulsteel come down, maybe on this Gun Auto, even though it's going to die, just to get the spawn and hope it spawns somewhere up here so that he can play his unit up there, because at this point Giant's just lethal. He's got to see that. He played around it last turn. Surely he sees it and is thinking about what to do. Here's the Soulsteel. Soulsteel's his own unit, and it does get the lucky spawn and moves up, so he is able to position it around the Giant, and look, his opponent has it. His opponent has it, so that would have been perfectly lethal. Solemn Giant comes down. Is this going to be enough? Does he have the removal to take it out? He's at 4 resources. Or no, he's only at 2 resources. I don't think this... Oh, the Relentless. That's going to do it. I forgot about the Relentless. That does come in. The Machinated Mindset kills off the blockers. Giant gets in, deals the idol damage. Only 4 health on his center idol. Dilerien ends the game against BarlesCharkley's Decay deck just in time. So that was Machine Energy versus Midrange Decay in a nutshell. Both players racing for idol damage and trying to end the game desperately. Excuse me. This has been Scrollscast. My name is Smogan. That's all for today. Tune in to the Badger Guild YouTube channel for more. Thank you for watching.